cover until we have strength. We cover until we have nations waiting.
Hello and welcome back to The Forge, the podcast for men, by men, and courtesy of the Redeemers Men's Fellowship of RCCG Region 51 Tabernacle of David. The Forge is the space where we have the real, raw, and unspoken, honest conversations about what it means to be a man in today's contemporary and VUCA world, where men come to be shaped but not to be shamed. I am delighted to be your host today, your brother Kingsley Ifoga. You are tuned in to the grand finale of our Money Matters series that started in July. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio. With me is our dearly beloved co-host who is back today, is Emmanuel Okunola. Emmanuel.
Hello, and once more, it feels good to be back on The Forge. Well, like my brother said, this is the grand finale. Just a quick throwback from our first, for our first-time listeners. You're welcome to Money Matters once again. For the throwback, in episode 1, we talked about the hard questions, and we shared questions. We shared discussions on relationships, on finances. And we asked questions like, as a man, is my money our money? And your money only your money? And on episode 2, we as well took it deeper, exploring marriage and money. And we asked questions like, why should I get married to? Right? And now on our third episode, which we'll be using as a closure, we'll be looking at different series and topics every man will face at one point or at a stage in their life, which has to do with financial freedom. And to get there, we must face two significant realities, right? Coping with job loss and navigating the transition from paid employment to entrepreneurship. Well, because of the truth, a man's financial journey is not just about earning, but about surviving, adapting, and eventually thriving. Kingsley.
Yeah. So indeed, if you miss any of the previous episodes, please do well to catch up with the recordings on any of our social media handles, available also on YouTube and of course on your beloved Spotify. Very refreshing conversations we've had on Money Matters, and today we bring it to a beautiful wrap, especially for men and of course by men. So today the third topic is financial freedom, handling job loss and transitioning from paid employment to entrepreneurship. So we ask you to grab a seat. Let's dive. This is The Forge. We're going to be looking at how to transform your pain, your strength, when you experience job loss, and of course, how do you move all of those concerns into paid entrepreneurship. We'll be discussing the struggles men face while losing their self-esteem, and of course, what possible solutions can they use to navigate their way moving forward. You will agree with me that money is one of the most critical aspects of a man's financial journey. Matter of fact, it's a big landmark on that journey. And the question is, what happens when the paycheck stops? How can I build lasting financial freedom when should this process start? So to help us navigate today's very crucial topic and provide key insights, friends, listeners, brothers everywhere online, we have here in the studio two finance titans, both of whom are professional juggernauts. They've beaten the odds again and again. They've come out tops. We are delighted to have them in the studio with so much shine and so much professional candor. We have Mr. Kayode Tolulope Oluwasegun Ojo and, of course, Mr. Olufemi Omotosho.
You're welcome. Good
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To the studio.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sirs. Emmanuel, let's run through that.
And to introduce one of our guests today, Mr. Kayode Tolulope Oluwasegun Ojo. Mr. Kayode is a seasoned finance professional with certified John C. Maxwell coach, speaker, and trainer with extensive experience in change management and business transformation. His career spans sector include audit, banking, financial services, aviation, and maritime. He is the managing partner of Florichain, a leadership, consulting, and coaching firm established in 2018. Beginning his career in 1987 as an audit trainee, including at Ernst and Young, Mr. Kayode has led senior roles in major finance institutions such as Midas Merchant Bank, MBC International Bank, where he became the treasurer, and as well at Associated Discount House, now Coronation Merchant Bank, where he rose to general manager. He later served as the executive director, finance and strategic planning at NACO PLC and was managing director from 2011 to 2015. Also, Mr. Kayode holds a BSc in Economics from the University of Ife, now OAU, is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, FCA, and as well an INSEAD certified independent director, IDPC. He has over a decade of boardroom experience and is a member of the Institute of Directors in both Nigeria and in the UK. A committed mentor in the Tony Elumelu Foundation's entrepreneurship program since its inception, and is passionate about leadership, personal growth, and development. He is married to Ayo Oluwasegun Ojo, a fellow finance professional focused on organizational development and supporting women and MSMES as well. And to introduce our second guest, Kingsley, please do us the honors.
Yeah, so let me introduce the amiable Mr. Olufemi Omotosho. Olufemi Omotosho is an accomplished C-suite executive with nearly 30 years of experience in leading Nigerian banks and expanding banking operations across Africa. He has served as CEO of GT Bank Uganda and the Gambia, also as executive director at GT Bank Liberia. Mr. Olufemi Omotosho is the founder and CEO of Western Financial Services Group with interests in microbanking, finance, asset management, payments, and financial advisory. He also sits on the boards of companies in agriculture, aviation, real estate, and hospitality. Mr. Omotosho holds a bachelor's degree and an MBA from the University of Ilorin and has completed executive programs at institutions including Lagos Business School, Cranfield University, Wharton, and Harvard Business School. He is married to Sylvia and they are blessed with children. A big hand of applause to our guest.
You're welcome once more. You're welcome once more to the Forge, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time. So we're diving right into the main slides for today's grand finale on money matters. We've got 4 segments we're going to run through, and so on to the first segment, redefining financial freedom. Today is all about financial freedom. And we are diving deep into what happens during employment loss and how can men navigate their way into profitable entrepreneurship. So the first segment says, redefining financial freedom. There's a question. What is financial freedom and when should a man begin the process of becoming financially free? So what is financial freedom and when should a man begin the process of becoming financially free? Let's take it in slices. My first question will go to Pastor Kayode. Sir, when we talk about financial freedom, what exactly does it really mean? I mean, just beyond having money, right? So beyond having money, what exactly does financial freedom mean?
All right. First, let me say thank you once again for having myself and Femi on the show. And thank you to all the listeners out there. So the first thing I'd say is that financial freedom is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a process. It starts from the mindset. Forgive me, I have to tap the head. And it's that thing that gives you the discipline of doing the right thing consistently. Once you have the right mindset, you will have the right approach, and you will get there. One thing we must realize is that nobody is useless, and that the way we're designed, there's something we can do to ensure that we're not bound to anything or anyone. You know, if you want to define financial freedom technically, it means that you have enough passive income to deal with your expenses. You can do what you like, when you like, whenever you like, and wake up and decide to go to Acapulco. You can live life on your own terms. But you see, it's not the same for everyone.
True.
Because what is important to me may not be important to you.
Indeed. True.
So somebody can eat agoyi beans and bread and he's happy. He's financially free. He can afford it. Another person desires to buy a specific kind of designer shoe. So he doesn't have it yet. So he's not yet free. So it's about a mindset. And it's about you knowing that it's a journey. You don't get there overnight. So
fantastic.
Amazing.
It's a journey. It's a process, not necessarily a destination. Thank you so much, Mr. K. So on to Mr. Olufemi Omotosho. There's a question here. So do you believe true financial freedom is possible while relying solely on one source of income? Do you believe? So
well, thank you once again for having us here today.
Yes, sir.
I will answer your question by saying, yes, it is possible. And it is possible because I've seen one source of income that is significant, that is substantial. So the whole idea is if you have a significant source of income, you can be financially free. But I would also like to add to that. You are more secure when your source of income is more than one, when you have diversified income. And why do I say so? Because there are so many risks out there. So if one source dries up, if you lose a job, and that significant source dries up, you're left with nothing. So I would say it is possible, but I would advise that we should rather diversify the sources of our income.
Excellent. There's a rejoinder to that question, sir. It says that can a man truly be free financially without emotional discipline? Can a man truly be free financially without emotional discipline?
Okay, let me put my own definition of financial freedom through an equation. The equation for financial freedom, I stumbled on it somehow, and it says abundance plus time and choice and plus peace of mind. Okay, so if you take it that peace of mind means, peace of mind is being free from the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
With regards to financial matters, it's also an ability for us to explore, to express, and to excel. And while we're serving while we're serving the world from a place of peace, a place of joy, and a place of gratitude. So if you put that into the equation of being financially free, you will see that emotionally, you have to be mature. There are a lot of ways that we express emotions. The fear, we have all sort of emotions to deal with. So if you take decisions in a place of fear, not a place of joy, not a place of gratitude, a place of peace, a place of, you can make mistakes.
True.
So I've seen people who, by virtue of emotions of fear, they've committed financial blunders. They've taken financial decisions out of fear, panic. You can, out of panic, sell what you should still be holding.
True.
And I said that you should still be holding. You can sell it. So if those happen to you, you can lose what you have gathered. So I would say that emotional maturity is very key. there is a stability, a place of stability that we should reach in emotional decisions that will help us in being financially free.
And thank you so much. That was quite deep. I mean, this is for men and by men. And once again, welcome to The Forge. Today, we're talking about wrapping up the Money Matters series, financial freedom. A quick follow-up to the question Mr. Olufemi just answered. We're moving on to Mr. Kayode now. Two key phrases I have here. The first says, men are in sizes, life is in phases. And the second phrase says that the fear of failure and the pressure to succeed, touching still on the emotional discipline. So, how important is emotional and mental discipline in sustaining financial freedom long term? How important is emotional and mental discipline in sustaining financial freedom long term? Yes, sir.
Okay, great question. And the answer is it's extremely important. As a matter of fact, touching from where Femi stopped, if you can master the emotions of fear and greed, you're going to be 90% on the way to financial freedom. Again, if you master the emotions of fear and greed, fear, I will lose. Greed actually is fueled by fear. That's what makes people pack stupendous amount of cash in their house, because they are afraid of loss. People who keep silly amounts of money in the house that they cannot finish spending, even if they spend
lifetime.
It's extremely important to manage both the emotional and mental state for you to be disciplined. For example, just to touch again on what Femi said, if you panic, you're not going to take the right decisions. You could sell what you're not supposed to sell. You could buy what you're not supposed to buy. You could take the totally wrong decisions and you'll be out of whack. So if we bring it home, you can't discount what is called experience. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be 70 or 60 or 80 years old to have experience. Because a 21-year-old could have had a lot of dynamic experiences beyond what somebody who's 30 years old has had.
True, sir.
But the point is that, truthfully speaking, none of us is God. You learn by what I call iteration. You know, chemistry, iterate. You win, you lose, you win, you lose. It will be remiss of any of us to sit here and make it sound as if we're just getting 100%. No, you lose things. And I will share a personal experience. In my time in the bank, I rose to be a treasurer of a bank. And there was a period when the market was haywire. I grew as an FX trader. You know, so there was a period when I was an FX trader, I made losses. Losses.
That can be demoralizing.
You know, when you make loss and your stomach is turning on a permanent basis, Monday to Friday, and then over the weekend, because you're going to resume work. And my CEO and my ED called me. They said, Kayode, we've actually been watching you. The background is the year before I won an award. The most cool, calm, and collected staff. They said they wanted to see, now that I'm a trader, whether that cool, calm, and collected is there. They said my face shows that I'm cool and calm, but they know that something is going on inside. And they encouraged me. They said, you see, the amount of money you can lose as a trader will determine how much money you can make in the future. So I got out of that. Fast forward, I was a treasurer. And market was very interesting. This is 2003. And I walked in the dealing room. I asked my guys some questions. They were excited. Young boys, all of them, boom, boom, boom. So they told me, I said, I'll come back in 30 minutes. When I came back in 30 minutes, I said, exit the market. They said, no, we're making money. People call me Katie. Katie. I said, get out of the market. If you don't get out, when I come back in 10 minutes, I'll get onto the floor and exit you. So they got out, they weren't happy. Less than 10 minutes later, market drop, the Naira drop, 20 Naira, boom, 10 Naira, boom, boom, boom. Wow. But we were square.
Wow.
It is because of the experience I had, because of the 21 days of permanent stomach turning, because of loss, that I could say that.
Wow.
And that gave me the emotional and mental discipline. But it came from experience. So you can either learn by experience yourself or learn by experience of others, which is what I hope will happen in this podcast today.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Matter of fact, I could almost relive the experience you had. So indeed, men are inside life are in phases. Matter of fact, you've already indirectly responded to a question I was going to ask, which would have been, what small practical steps can any of our brothers out there listening, what small practical steps can we start taking today to move closer to financial independence? So I will take you on Katie. So
Okay.
Katie, sir, yeah.
Thank you. So first thing is, like, there's really nothing new under the sun. You have to follow the old traditional rules. First of all, don't live beyond your income. As a matter of fact, live below your income. You must do that. You must always have something for the rainy day. I mean, by God's grace, I, transited career. But I must tell you the truth. From about 7 years at work, I always had a fund which could, like, I could tell my employer, guess what? At La Vista, we'll see later. And it's because there was something that you've been keeping. Fine, it may not have taken me a year, but at least it will give me options. And, Femi spoke about peace of mind. You understand? So you must live on less than what you earn. And then that which you are keeping aside, don't keep it and wake up one day and go and splurge it. You need to invest it. Yeah. I have a background in economics. They say savings is equal to investment. That's the national income model. What that means is that people that save get inspiration to invest. And it's investment that delivers wealth. It's investment that builds wealth. That's the bottom line. I'll be practical. So my wife and I are both professional accountants, and we have a client. He lives abroad, but he's in Nigeria. And one day he was thinking about making a specific real estate investment, and he spoke to her. And then it occurred to us that this guy wants to do this thing. We too, we can do it too. But at least we had savings set aside. We couldn't do the magnitude that he did, but we did. And I can tell you, after I stepped away from my CEO job, I mean, the first investment we liquidated, you don't want to know the percentage of gain that was there. But if there was no move back up, nothing set aside, the opportunity won't come your way. So again, I repeat, savings equals to investment. The man that saves is the one that will have inspiration to invest. And it's investment that builds wealth.
I could almost give a round of applause.
I'm telling
But
you.
we definitely have a take from Mr. Olufemi. So still on the same question as I hand over to Emmanuel. Sir, what small practical steps can any of our listeners start taking today to move closer to financial independence?
Okay, thank you very much. I read a book when I joined a bank, and the title of the book is The Richest Man in Babylon.
Wow, that's a timeless
That's a timeless book, I must say. It's guided by, that was the book review we did at entry level. So I was fortunate to be that kind of an organization, and it changed the trajectory of my financial life.
Wow.
First, it says a percentage of what you earn is for you to keep.
Yes.
That's talking about savings. Then it moves forward to say, when you have saved, savings only earn interest. You must invest. What does investment mean? The difference between savings and investment is that the capital appreciates as much as you get a return. So you have the dividend, your capital grows. So you move that money that you have saved into investment. So when you have investment, say even he represented it with gold, and he was talking about Hakad, who was just a laborer. He said, your gold works for you. He said the child of your gold is also for you to invest. The mistake we all make is that when you have a dividend, when you have a return on your investment, you are tempted to think you can splurge on that. Meanwhile, it is for you to keep investing, which is plowing back your gains into your investment. So the child of your investment keeps working for you.
Compounds.
Now, to be able to set aside, something happened to me when I mean, just got married. We had our first baby. I was sharing with Katie where we're coming in. We, the regular fanfare that goes with you having your first child. So you open an account for the baby, the money they gave you on naming christening, naming ceremony, you bank it, you want to invest for the baby. So I invested for my first child and I invested in stock. Part of the investment was in stock. My personal savings was in, fixed deposit, savings, and all those kind of stuff. So we moved to a bigger house, and then that was a rented apartment.
Okay.
Then I liquidated all my life savings. If the investment I made for the baby were to be readily available, stock market is not like the way you see it today.
Yeah.
You keep certificates.
Okay,
You keep it under your pillow and under your bed. When you want to sell, you go to verify. It might take as long as 1 month before you can liquidate. So I didn't have the patience for that time.
Okay.
So that was the only investment that I did not squander. It then occurred to me that this is a form of investment that I should keep. What did I do? I decided, which is the advice I would like to give to viewers and listeners. I decided from that day, I gave post-dated checks to continue to grow that portfolio. Sometimes the check comes, I will feel like I want to stop the check because the income I maintain that discipline. And the rest they say is history. So I will advise our men that these days, unlike the days I'm talking about, you can automate your savings. You can save on a daily basis. You can save on a weekly basis. You can automate. If you are a trader, you can save on a daily basis. You don't even need to go to the bank. You set up in such a way that it can debit your account and put it in savings. And when you have a quantum of what you save, then you can put into investment. One major thing is that we should realize the fact that delayed gratification pays. Today you might want to enjoy yourself, but your future is being mortgaged. So today, if you maintain the discipline to live within your limit, to maintain the discipline to set something aside for investment, you are bound to repeat in the future. So it is very, very critical. That's the notes on which I want.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I mean, it only gets better. Emmanuel, let me let you move on to the second segment before we take up so much time.
I believe our online viewers and listeners have been so much filled that if we say we should end this podcast here, you would leave with tangible information that will transform your life. But to delve further into our program for today, I'll be asking the big question, right? And I appreciate the fact that, Katie and Mr. Femi, you've spoken about if I will sum your view up, it would be that a man needs to have contentment, right? Know your level of contentment and know how to approach your financial life properly. So now let's assume, or let's look at it from the perspective of a man that doesn't really have that financial knowledge, right? And then, boom, he loses his job. Right, he's working in a job where he's getting six figures. So it feels like he has arrived, but he doesn't really have much understanding about savings, about investment, or maybe let's say he has knowledge about savings, but he doesn't know the right places to invest his money, right? And then boom, he loses his job. So let me throw this first question to you, sir, Mr. Femi. Now, we know that losing that job can be a very huge personal blow to the person. But as a man, why do you think that job loss often feels like an attack on identity? Why do you feel like when you lose that job, like you are not man enough anymore?
Okay, thank you. Interestingly, we are the breadwinner of the family. And it's the God order that we are the head of our household. So now, when you lose your job, there is a tendency that order is being compromised. It's being compromised because you lose that capacity and the instruments to be able to fend for your household. Now, the job that we do gives us professional identity. And what do I mean by that? Is many of us, we have that sense of self-worth and purpose. We derive it from the work we do, unfortunately. And when you also look at it, that the job that we do give us a sort of social connection.
Yeah.
You understand? And validation. So that is why it impacts on our identity. I will also say that it gives to us what I would say is structure and routine. That is what makes me to wake up early in the morning, dress up with tie and jacket, get into my car, run into work in the traffic. So it gives us that sense of structure that we are conformed to this. In fact, in most cases, our body clock also responds to this.
Yes.
So that by the time you see somebody losing his job, he cannot, is running.
There's a dysfunction.
It's totally messed up. You know, that is why, and again, it gives us some sort of stability because you keep earning every 30 days. Some of us earn every 7 days. So these are the things that make the loss of job impact on our identity. But we forgot the fact that we are children of God. And we should not limit, we should not define our identity to the job that we do alone. We should extend it further. If we extend that further, then we'll have the shock absorber whenever we have balance, whenever we suffer a job loss. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you so much. To throw my next question to Katie now. Now, a man has lost his job, right? And he's in shock. He's thinking about how to navigate his life. And let's even now put it, that he's newly married and his wife just even put to bed. And all of a sudden he loses his job, right? So in the first 30 to 60 days after losing his job, what would be your counsel to this kind of man that, okay, you don't have the job anymore? What would be your counsel to him in that first 30 to 60 days of him losing the job, sir?
Okay, great question. Let me just add something because I like the way you've been wrapping up and giving us summaries. You mentioned that both of us have spoken about contentment. Let me add very important because some of our viewers are married, some are not married.
Yes.
You also need a contented wife. Not only you that should be contented, your wife must be contented.
True.
Otherwise, you people are not working together. It'll be a big problem. So for me, you lose your job, newly married, at least you are starting with a partner. You marry a partnership, your wife and you. She married your job or she married you. And straight out after that, you need to have an honest conversation. You need to have a family meeting, emergency one at that matter. That look, this is what has happened, and then what are we going to do? You'll be surprised. A lot of times when we are in the emotion of a thing, we may not be able to think as critically as the other person. The other person can sit down and say, okay, what about this? What about this? What about that? Blah, blah, blah. But practically, you're going to have to assess your current situation, find out how much you need to live in those, days up to when you get a job. Probably give yourself worst case scenario, maybe 6 months. Can you live? If you cannot leave, and I'm going to be practical here. So if you have premium DSTV, Showmax, all those things, you have to borrow yourself sense and cut down to, I don't know, Compact or something that is,
or Go TV.
Or Go TV, you don't watch all the matches all the time. You're not at home. Do you understand? Practical steps that you take to begin to release more money to yourself. And then you must carry your spouse along. But this is the same way we spoke at the beginning. And thank God that Fevi mentioned about the richest man in Babylon. You just have to cut down your expenses. They used to tell us, because I'm a finance professional, that you have fixed cost and variable cost. Let me tell you what somebody told me when I was ED Finance and Strategic Planning. The board member, he said, Coyote, there's nothing that's fixed. Everything can vary. I was like, really? Yeah, he thought about, if there's nothing, what are you fixing?
Yes,
you will vary to, do you understand? Forgive my colloquial. So be real. Contentment, yourself, your wife, have an emergency board meeting, cut down expenses drastically, be open. and then your partner and yourself have to be you have to be partners in both the pain and the progress. Then be practical. Open up to people you can that you're looking for a job. You know, you might not get what you want immediately. You have to tell yourself certain things then. Is the cash flow more important than the prestige? You know, so you might just take something to get yourself started off so that you can, you know, narrow down the bleeding, as it were. Because when the job is lost and you are maybe used to X level of income and you have to cut the expenses to like 0.5x, that's like half. If you get something that will give you maybe 0.6x, at least you are in the green. You know, you have to be practical. And this is where you must forget about what anybody says or thinks. You know, you've got to be true to yourself. You must take decisions that defend your family's integrity. Excuse me, I'm a soccer avid. I'm a sports enthusiast. When a team loses a player, they send off the goalkeeper. What does the manager do? He would rearrange everybody now. They will rearrange the formation by force, because you don't want to go home with basket full of goals against you. So you don't want to end the situation, right? And maybe you eventually get a new job in 3 months and there's piles of debt waiting for you. You want to be able to live above the waters in that period. So that would be my candid counsel. Very important. You must carry your spouse along. It's extremely important.
So, to put it in a more practical word now, my question will go to you, sir. Still in line with what Katie has spoken with, and I love the fact that he said that you need to marry. Your partner you need to marry a reasonable partner, right? You know, and so let's put it in a practical sense where the man has married someone that is, so to say, a trophy wife, or is dating a trophy girlfriend for our single men out there now, you know, and you know he now loses the job, right? So what should such a man in this situation prioritize, you know, to keep both his finance or the remaining savings he has and his dignity intact?
Okay, thank you. So if you've been married, you can't divorce your wife because you lost a job. A job loss is not the end of the world. In fact, it might even be God talking to you to redirect you to other things. So what I would say is that, you know, in today's economy, that's my space also. You notice that the interest rate that is being charged on debt is high quite high. So if you have those kind of, riding on what Katie has said, keep your income low, reduce your expenses. You also need to renegotiate your credits. If you have a debt, if you have an obligation, you need to engage to, because of the situation you found yourself, to further drive down your cost so that you can stay above the waters. It is very important. So a job is not, job loss is not the end of it, but I will want to point this out to our listeners that whilst we are working, we should create like a buffer. We should be able to survive at least 3 months or 6 months, as the case may be, when we lose a job. Because taking decisions under
duress,
anxiety, fear, you are bound to make mistakes. But if you can clear out your head, you brought down your expenses, you renegotiate your debts, you cut your coat according to your size, you've done all those things, then you should be able to sit down and say, okay, what next? Your wife, because we're a team, you've married this wife. You said a trophy wife. A trophy wife should be made to understand the situation that we have found ourselves.
the reality.
So this needs engagement, which is the board meeting that you need to call
Emergency one.
emergency board meeting. So as long as you have made yourself very clear to your wife that these are the issues, we're all adults. We can also see. So you need a wife that would also help you emotionally. You will remember this very well. There was a lead pastor when we were in a province. and we became a region, who said he lost his business. He lost his business and he went home, no job. And the wife innocently even asked him, what are you up to today? And he sparked up. Is it because I don't have a job? Is it because and they told it? So men are bound to be on the edge. We are bound to be irritable when these things happen to us. So I will appeal to our wives to see reasons with us and be able to calm us down, because we're already going through a lot is already going through our heads. When you are a spouse, like, I mean, some homes have dual income. There is nothing in this world that says the wife cannot step into the plate. There's nothing saying that. It's just for a temporary period. You know, so those are the kind of things I will say that we need the cooperation of our wives. We need them to stabilize us emotionally. So when we are stabilized, when we are cool, we're able to take better decisions. And like I said, it is a time to spread out to your network, professional networks. In fact, something happened recently. I mean, to me, somebody lost his job, who is like almost a CRO. Chief credit, chief risk officer of a bank. He reached out to me to say, this happened to me last week. This is my CV. If you can help me spread it around. And at that point that he sent it to me, in my own organization, I just had a need for a CRO. But could I afford him? The answer may be no, because he was a CRO of a big bank. Okay, so he called to me that I can engage this guy. I said to him that, well, let's see. When it came to me, I said to him that I'm able to take you on probably half of what is your salary. You don't have to come every day, but put the risk framework in place here, get a CRO to, and any day you get a job, you can move on. Honestly, I don't know how to, you don't know what this did for this young man. That happened like about 3 months ago. Next week he's resuming as a CRO of another big bank. But we had a good time. We had a good time. That is the essence of reaching out. I just woke up, saw his message. I had not spoken to him for like a year, and he said this happened to him. We are brothers. We have to be our brother's keeper. So it is very important that we realize that honestly, a job loss is very, very temporary. It's not, in fact, God might be directing us to other places. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My dear listeners, please, if you're just joining in, I would advise you to watch this session all over again, because it is packed with a lot of experience and knowledge. And I tell you, you don't want to miss out. All right, so my next question now to you again, Mr. Femi. Now, what strategies is a man supposed to put in place to help him avoid financial ruin while job hunting? You know, like what practical steps can a man, take to avoid sinking, into debt while, during the period of unemployment? He's looking for a job, he's trying to see what he can do next. What are the steps he can take in order for him not to sink deeper, into the mud he has found himself?
Okay, it's still part of what I've mentioned, debt. Why will you want to, contract debt why you don't have the income to pay? Let's even assume that an emergency arises. So you should be able to negotiate, like I said, engage your creditors. If you must take a new debt, also you can structure it in such a way that you don't even have to pay for some time. Okay, that is, we call it moratorium period. You can negotiate for that to say, okay, whilst I'm job hunting, can you give me this space? This credit that I contracted, I won't be able to pay you for this period. This credit that I want to contract because of emergency, because some lenders can still find you very qualified. Okay, so this is the time I will be ready to pay. So we call that moratorium period, so that you give room for that period while you are job hunting. Okay, so that's the advice I will give as far as that is concerned. But again, we should also realize the fact that when we had this job, when we earn stable income, I've said it, the investments we have, they will come in handy at those transition period. So if you are done enough investment, it will also be a time to look at your, the class of asset that you have, and to see what is it that at this time, if I let go, would bring liquidity to me. Liquidity is very key in every business, even the home business as well. Thank you.
Cash flow is key.
Amazing. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I'm really, I myself, I'm taking up a lot of experience from here, and I really appreciate your response to that question, sir. My next question will go to Katie. Now, beyond the money, right? I know we've actually spoken about the role of a spouse, right, to a man, especially in dire times like this. But what role as well? What role do family members, friends, or even the community do or play? When a man loses his primary source of income, because aside from the fact that we could be married to a very supportive person, we are not married to only the woman. We're married to the family. There are some families that, they just take the chunk of their responsibility or their livelihood and put it on the man. So what role, do they play in this, and when a man loses primary source of income?
Okay, great. So let's be direct. It's very possible that you have people who are not willing to understand that you are no longer able to accommodate their
responsibilities.
I don't know, or fund their lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
Yeah. And so it's also part of open communication. So for me, if you start with your nuclear family, and maybe if you have children who are old enough to understand, you also let them know. So everybody is on the same keel. You started well. Then you need to, telling the outside world will not be exactly the same. I'm a professional accountant, so the published accounts that you see, half-page newspaper, just is a snapshot. That's what you tell outsiders. The audited account, the management account is for the real. So you need to disclose in levels depending on the intimacy of the people. But the idea is that you must communicate to them that this season is not the season for quick 2K. I need to sort out children's school fees, etc. Because you're trying to sort yourself out. And I want to say something, right? Similar to all that Femi has said about our spouses. You see, if when the going is good, you're a good guy, right? Nobody should complain. Life is not about, down, 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 up, up, up only. You have ups and downs. So provided that you were, fairly consistent and decent, that shouldn't be a challenge. I counsel young people and about to marry that you need to have some form of social responsibility budget for people outside your immediate family, because we don't have a social security system in this country.
True.
And if you are somebody who's working, your wife is working, except you drop from the Kalahari Desert, you're going to have some additions to you.
Definitely.
So the way you've been sorting them out in the past, you tell them that, well, this bros is not always like that, even if it's a bros in-law or whatever it is. So what you've done in the past, and you just know how you communicate to them so they will not put you under pressure. What I would say is don't pass your aggression to them, but you need to let them know in a calm and firm manner. And then, because Femi has said, the job loss is not the end of the world. When things do return, don't continue in that same mode. If you are able to, sort them out. But I'd say communicate truth with wisdom so that you can buy yourself, some space. Just to reiterate, something that came up while Femi was answering the question. If we want our wives to be considerate when we are going through the down times, then it should be that when everything was up and up, they were going up with you. It's when that doesn't happen that stress occurs. So it's the same thing with people who are not your immediate family, your friends. I mean, I don't know about you, but all of us went to school, and there were times when your friends didn't have money in school and you had money, and vice versa. But you are friends, so you roll with each other. So it should be the same now that we're adults. That's my honest view.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much, sir. And I like the way you even took it into the practical aspect of friendship, and how we look out for one another. Truly, there are those sakpa moments back then in school, and it's really good how we look out for one another. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the opinion, and I pass it on to you, Kensley.
We're still in the forge, and we're having an exciting conversation on financial freedom. Moving on to the third segment, the transition from paid employment to entrepreneurship. The transition from paid employment to entrepreneurship. I mean, the talking point will be, why should you even transition? Why? I mean, we might want to consider that. And then how do you overcome the steady paycheck mentality? Trust me, I think it was Mr. Olufemi says it has to be substantial. You can have financial freedom on one source of income, but it has to be substantial. And believe me, there's nothing as reassuring that on the 20th, on the 28th, on the 30th.
Yes, the alert is coming.
Alert is coming. You could almost go to the bank and, take a loan in the name of bank alert, right? So how do you overcome that steady paycheck mentality? We will consider the realities of facing risk, uncertainty, and of course, longer timelines before attaining profit as entrepreneurs. So quickly to the first question. This will go to Mr. Olufemi. I almost wanted to give you O squared if we're calling Katie, right? So, sir, the first question. Many men dream of entrepreneurship, but only few consider it after losing a job. Many men, they dream of it. I mean, they hear that entrepreneurs are successful and they dream of it, but only few will consider it right after losing a job. The question is, why do you think that is the case?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I will start with this. My father always tells me, says, you don't test maybe the speed or the current of a river with both legs.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you try with both legs, you are most likely going to be sent away. So you try with one leg. In fact, if it's possible, you try with your hand to have a feel of the current, whether it's enough to sweep you away. So for me, entrepreneurship is not something that we should start when we lose a job. It's something that you can run concurrently. Well, in some workplace, it's not allowed. But in today's marketplace, my staff, they have their side hustles. Okay, because I'm grooming a set of people who will be financially independent. I was banking and I got involved in a very profitable real estate joint venture. At my level at that point in time, I just needed to have a permission and approval from my bank, which I did. So entrepreneurship, where in the bank that I'm talking about, you are trained and built to be an entrepreneur, even in the
within
the organization. So that spirit is already released into your being, if you understand what I'm talking. So I expect us to, at some point, consider it, and at some point, take a bold step. Yes, we might even become entrepreneur because now we're working, we are unhappy with some decisions that are taken with our corporate experiences. Maybe we are shortchanged in one way. We don't enjoy what we're doing. It is time for us to consider doing something for ourselves and by ourselves. Taking the risk, taking the bull by the horn. So when it comes to risk taking, there is a quote that says, He say money grows on the tree of persistence and resilience. You know, you have to be able to take the risk. Risk taking, in fact, living is risk. So I don't see why we should shy away from being an entrepreneur. And by the way, we have a time limit within which we can work in any organization.
Yes.
And I've seen this practically. I saw an ex-colleague in the bank. The bank asked people that are 60 years old to leave. And I ran into this colleague of mine in the bank. You know, we had left the bank, then we went to do transaction in the. So I said, "Oh, how are you? Why you're on leave?" He said, "No, they asked them to go." I said, "Oh, you are part of the 60-year people." He said, "No, he will be 60 next year." So they shortchanged him. He was ranting and ranting and ranting. And I was like, "Bros, don't you want to ever be by yourself?" So they shortchange you by 12 months. I said to him, "Do you know that if they even give you that money for the 12 months upfront, you will still be ranting?" I say, "Please smell the coffee, wake up and rise up to the occasion." You cannot be an employee forever. Now, we can see how people live long these days. My dad is about 92 years old. So if you had worked with he had been a civil servant.
Okay.
The retirement age, I'm sure, maybe is lower than 60 or 60. So if you are out of job by 60 and then you live to 92, 95, you had better be prepared. So I'm saying to us that entrepreneurship should be in our blood. It should be the air that we breathe. We should be mindful of the risk that is involved. It's a risk that we take. Saying goes high risk, high return. It's a risk that we need to take in our lifetime if you want to be financially independent. Somebody can wake up one day and just feel, because there are so many reasons to ask people to go. It doesn't have to be that. Job loss is, I would say, is an involuntary kind of separation from your, from between employer and employee. So if an organization is not doing well, the organization that can decide to downsize, you could have committed, it could have been on your, maybe conduct, it could have been based on your performance, it could have been anything. So all I'm trying to say is that whether we like it or not, even if all these things don't happen, there is a time limit for us to leave an organization. So let us put it in our consciousness that entrepreneurship is what we should naturally go into. The risk that is involved is the risk that we need to take. And how do you take the risk? You take calculated risk. You do your market analysis. And I will say something, that wealth is actually locked up. It's locked up in the needs, in the desire, in solving other people's problems. So you see the gap. So when you look at the gap and you match it with your experience, you match it with your passion and skill, then you're on the right path. You identify what to do, because value flows in the direction of solution. If somebody provides solution, value must flow towards you. So it's something that even while we're working, you are sniffing to see what is going on. Those of us that are bankers, we had that privilege and opportunity. So the businessmen have to come to the bank. So we see a lot of opportunity. So lash on one and run with it. Manage your risk. Look at the capital that is needed. Analyze the markets very well. Decide what you want to do, how you want to differentiate your product, how you want to make a difference in that sector. Where is the market you want to start? What do you need to get to the market? Honestly, I can tell you today, value flows in the direction of solution. So if you have a business idea and the capitalists, you go to make a presentation, they can smell value, they will fund you. You can see what is going on here. You don't even have to fund by bootstrapping. You can fund this thing by so many means that have been open to everybody. So all I will say is that let's understand the fact that life is for day they're able to stand up to take the risk.
Take the opportunities. Yes.
There is no growth in anybody's comfort zone. You need to get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone and take a decision. That is where you can get the growth. If you remain in your comfort zone, you just be whining and you won't be able to achieve anything.
That's a lot. A lot, and so deep. In fact, I already developed a colloquial term, just like Katie said earlier. So I have a colloquial term too. Entrepreneurship should be follow come. As a man, entrepreneurship should be follow come. Follow come charger.
Yes.
So and interestingly, currently I serve as general manager where I work. So in the when we have interviews with new intakes, especially the Gen Zs, there are two key things we use as part of our offers to them. One, I would personally ask, what do you do as a side hustle? And then two, I let them know that we encourage side hustle. So you will not join us, not have a side hustle. So our work mode is hybrid. You work in the office a couple of days, you work remotely so that you can create time for your side hustle. So while it could be a mindset to be an entrepreneur, organizations could even create value out of it and make it part and parcel of the culture.
Yes.
When they would recruit in this regard. Mr. Olufemi said, even when you work in the bank, the system already kind of trains you to be an entrepreneur. So it means the opportunity and the ability to be an entrepreneur should not necessarily happen after you lose a job, but rather while you are working, while you still have paid employment. So we will move quickly to the next question now. And this, of course, goes to KT. Says, how can a man know if he's truly ready for entrepreneurship, or if he's simply running away from the frustration of employment? I go again. How can a man, any brother, how can they know if he's truly ready for entrepreneurship, or he's simply running away from the frustration of paid employment? Yes, sir.
Great question. And I'm going to answer it slightly differently. So reality, like Fabi has said, is that risk is out there. If you don't go to school, a bus driver cannot hit you down. So it's a risk. So you can decide to stay at home and be an illiterate. That risk is that your earning power will be limited because you didn't go to school. And the person that went to school gets a return for going to school. So every day you're actually taking risk. That's the point I'm trying to make. We need to decontextualize risk. And let's make it simple. In the jobs that people do 9 to 5, you are taking a risk. Lehman Brothers went down. Long-term capital management disappeared. Arthur Andersen just flew away. I mean, those were fantastic places. But, so there's a risk involved. So I would say first, accept the fact that risk is part of life. Then decide the type of risk you want to take yourself. And to now answer your question directly, the way you will know if you're ready for entrepreneurship is simple. Are you ready to take ownership? Let me tell you what ownership means. Ownership means I take the responsibility, I take the accountability, and I also get the benefits. So for some of us, by our training, and this is what I recommend to people, everywhere I've worked, I've seen myself as KT Limited, offering my services to this bank, to this bank, to this bank. So the way I worked in those banks, I don't work on a 9 to 5 business.
Wow.
I can't do that. In fact, I make bold to say that there is no bank I worked in that is not still in existence today. I would not have been able to work in them. I can't work in a place that I cannot invest in myself.
Wow.
You have to take ownership. So if you take ownership, that's what entrepreneurship is about. That's why the entrepreneur can stay for 9 years and will not change his car. Or the executive wants to change his car according to the policy.
4 or 5 years.
So it's not as cut and dry as that. Let's be practical with ourselves. My grandmother of blessed memory, she was an entrepreneur. My uncle used to sell ugi for her. Is that not entrepreneurship? What are you talking about? He was taking a risk.
In its basic form.
I mean, that's the truth. And my uncle is still alive. I tell him, you've got great marketing skills because Mama taught you how to sell from an early age, and that is the truth. Forget about the fact that he didn't, he did a totally different profession. He was an oil and gas executive, but I can see that he did well because his mindset was changed from day one. So I think we need to put it in context. If you're ready to take ownership, take on the responsibility, the risk, the benefits, because there are benefits of this thing for yourself, then you are ready for entrepreneurship. If you are simply running away from frustration of employment, then I have to say something. There's something called entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is somebody who has a mindset of an entrepreneur, but he's on paid employment. And the reality is, as someone who grew in careers, I started banking as assistant officer, I left as a general manager. Any other thing is about appointments. Do you understand? If you don't have a mindset of an entrepreneur, you won't grow in any organization. That is the truth. So I would encourage us all to have that mindset. Take ownership, take responsibilities. Like Femi had said, if you're saving and you're not investing and you're not doing anything, but if you are saving and you're investing, you are taking calculated risk. So you're already simulating what it's going to be like to be an entrepreneur. That is the truth. So I think we should put it in context. You might wait for a right time, but if you wait and the time doesn't come and the time is forced on you, maybe that's God's own time. But the bottom line is that I believe that we are designed to be enterprising by nature. The reason the human beings have evolved, if you believe scientists to date, is because we have that ability to be resilient and to take risks. There are animal species that no longer exist because they couldn't adapt. We are not like that. We've been around and we will still be around by the grace of God.
True. Thank you so much, man. That's quite a lot to just unpack in those few minutes. I personally have a mentality, and when I have the opportunity to share with my co-friends, I would say that for every profession we do, there's a technical side and there's an entrepreneurial side. For many of us, especially in my age group, Emmanuel, I think we might probably share the same age group. When we finish either from secondary school or before we get into university, typically we will teach. One of the quick jobs you get is to get into a school, be a teacher before university or whatever opportunities come. And so very early, I started thinking, there is one, the skill to be a teacher. Then two, there is actually the business of running a school. So right from time, even as a doctor, while I was observing, when you go to the hospital, you see, I watch and say, wow, there's the technical skill of being in that profession. Then there's the entrepreneurial, area of that running business. So while we work as professionals, we should also be mindful of the entrepreneurial part of running that business. And that will inform the next question. Now over to Mr. Olufemi. From your experience, what are the biggest mistakes that men make in their first year of business? And how can they avoid them? From your experience, what are the biggest mistakes that men make in their first year of business as entrepreneurs, and how can they typically avoid them?
Okay, thank you. So, to add to what we're discussing, I would say that if you watch the rain, do not sow. So, just to let you know that you cannot be, if you can write your vision fully day one, it's not audacious enough. Okay, so coming from that, you just have to start. Start small within the capital that you have. What I've seen people do is that they overstretch themselves so quickly. You understand? Some, we call it overtrading, and then they are stretched so thin. You understand? In anything you do in life, I've learned that one thing you need to be very careful about is you build liquidity into what you're doing. Because liquid is the life of any business. Yes, okay, so you must have enough capital. You must identify your market. You must serve your market. One thing that is also very key is you must listen to your market. A lot of us just go into business based on our own idea without listening to what does the market want? What is the gap that exists? So we need to do that. A lot don't even understand how to keep a very good book of accounts. Bookkeeping, which is the problem. Crucial. You have to limit your expense. you have to put a ceiling on your expense. Don't spend too much. Don't think you have so much. The company that I run today started in an office of a younger brother. When I say an office, it's like a facility management office.
Okay.
In a development that I have. So one office, the facility manager sits in there, and then 2 employees that started it. But today, we can only thank God where God has helped us to get to.
Life.
So you have to be conscious of your costs. You have to be conscious of your market.
Yeah.
You have to be conscious of your liquidity. You have to be conscious of the kind of growth that you go into. So those are very critical things that you need to do as an entrepreneur. Again, don't forget that you are not an island by yourself.
True.
You need people to work with you. So you need to get the right people to work. People with the right attitude. If our skills can actually be developed, give me somebody with the right attitude. I can build on that to make what we need to make the kind of employee that I need to run an organization. So you need people, you need the technology. So when you're going to the market, the onus is on you to sit back and do your business plan appropriately, a detailed business plan. You need to also have mentors, people who have operated in the sector that you want to dive into. Some people have made a success out of it. Some people are there. So you need to have people that can advise you, because a multitude of advice is safety.
The safety, yeah.
Okay, so mentorship is also very key. We need to have that. We need to have the right peg in the right hole, the round peg in the right hole. And if you do that and you devote yourself, diligence, hard work, which I know those things, they don't kill anybody.
True.
I've not heard about anybody that was so hard work and he died. Hard work and he died. So for me, if you now put that diligence into it, God will favor your hustle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
will
much.
favor your hustle.
So just to wrap this segment up, we did, to allude to all that has been said, we ran a small survey. Small sample size. We had about 11 persons participate in that sample size. And the question was, do you have more than one income? And how many? Of 11 persons who responded, 10 answered positive. They do. In fact, 10 had 2. So it was encouraging. I mean, it was like, guys, brothers out there, they're actually doing more than the barest minimum, trying to position themselves to have more than one income, which is a big deal. One final question, sir, to Mr. KT. What role does leveraging existing skills, networks, and even savings, what role does this play in making this transition from paid employment to entrepreneurship smoother? What role does leveraging existing skills, your network, your savings, what role does it play in making this transition from paid employment to entrepreneurship smoother?
Great role. I mean, there's no gainsaying the importance. What we must understand is that our life is a continuum. So forgive me if the time axis is like this, and from here to here is paid employment, then the next is entrepreneurship. It's the same person. It's just the time that's changing. It is the same person. Therefore, like Femi has told us, when you're in employment, you learn discipline. You must still need that skill in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
If you get to work after your staff do, you will see what you will meet when you get there.
Correct.
Yeah.
You will see. It's not a matter of you. Yeah, you will know a guy will come for 11. Don't worry. They will time you. So you pick those skills, you transfer them to, your entrepreneurship. The networks that you have gained, you also transfer them to entrepreneurship. So I'm going to be practical here. So let's say 87 to possibly 2015, that was my working career. First job Flourishing got was to train pension fund. The CEO of the pension fund, I've known him for, our first son is 25. He knows our first son. So that tells you how long I've known him for.
Wow.
And just to make the point, the paycheck of that job, my staff went to pick it up, was less than 1/4 of my last monthly pay. But we picked it up, nevertheless. So starting small, mustn't forget. The next job that we got from somebody I've known for years. I knew him when I was a bachelor in the bank together. You're doing this now? Great. You retired as an MBA. We got a job. The next thing is also somebody that, that's how these things work. You leverage on your network. So it is important that as you are growing up, you behave well. Because if you're a badly behaved person, nobody will answer you.
True.
And personally, I always had in the back of my mind, especially when I was an executive ED. I was in charge of finance. I was the one approving people's invoices. I always tell myself, one day is your own invoice. So I didn't used to behave like I was, I wouldn't do that. And it didn't take 10 years before I found myself on the other foot. So whatever you've learned in your 9 to 5 should be transferred to your
side hustle.
To your side hustle. The networks you've made, the same thing. Of course, the savings, the mentality of savings that you had from when you were, doing a 9 to 5, you must also build into your entrepreneurship. I mean, you can't get a windfall and then blow all the money in changing your office furniture and cars and all the rest, and then you cannot pitch for the next job, or you're unable to pay the salary. So take your life as a continuum, right? I mean, that's just it. And so God is a God of purpose. He can't have allowed you to learn certain things somewhere only for you to throw it away in another place.
Yes.
I would conclude by saying this. I live my life currently basically by the ability to present. I'm not saying I'm contentless. I know. But if I'm unable to present properly, there'll be a problem. I started presenting years ago when I was in the bank. I used to be one of the top trainers in the second bank I worked, not even the third bank. But I'm living on that today. So it's a transferable skill. The mindset of a lot of our people, which is bad, I'll speak Yoruba and try to transmit. This ogota thing, this is their job, it's their business. And it takes back to what I said. You must take ownership from day one. Take ownership of your life. If you do, you realize that your time is yours. I was training this week. Great organization. I may not be going into details. They do a lot around taxation. And I told them, you can feel that your organization forced you here. They will pay us. But it's your time. So if you make best out of it, it's up to you. If you don't, it's also up to you. So that's what I would say. Those things you learn, you should bring them on board. Not bringing them on board is a waste. It includes the things that you learned that you didn't like, were not good, and you wouldn't want to repeat, where you work. But you definitely must leverage on all those skills, the networks, and all the rest. You just must. Without that, then you are like starting all over from the bottom.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Katie. I mean, I wish we could have a second slice of today's segment here. So, quick question from the audience. This will go to Mr. Olufemi. Someone is asking, he says, how do you handle having multiple streams of income and balance it with your other aspects of life? How do you handle having multiple streams of income and balance it with your other aspects of life? Maybe in 2 minutes.
Thank you. That's a very good question. But the person asking the question is assuming that all your streams of income, you have to be there physically. There is what we call passive income. Passive income is whether you are in Honolulu, whether you are in, wherever you are, Maldives, enjoying your life, passive income keeps coming in. You don't have to be there. So I don't know how you want to work multiple works. So what we're saying here is that you should invest in such a way that income keeps coming in without you being there. Say, for instance, you invest in real estate. rental income will keep coming in. You don't have to be the caretaker of the property.
Yeah.
You can get professionals who can do that for you. If you invest in so many things today, you don't have to be there. So managing multiple streams of income does not impair on your time for other things. And what were we talking about here? We are saying that financial freedom is when your time belongs to you. You have that flexibility. You can live anywhere in the world and your income keeps coming in. Enough income is generated to meet your lifestyle, and to still serve the world as you want to serve the world. So please, let's take that out of our mindset that multiple stream of income, it doesn't impinge on any of our time. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the response. Emmanuel, you can go for the big wrap now.
Wow. I am so full and I hope you guys as well, listening and watching us, have been jotting down and taking notes of things that will help you become financially free, the men out there especially. But to wrap this up, so we've been talking about entrepreneurship, right? And in the real world, right, we know that not everyone has the skill of business. Right. Some they bank more on their talent. Some bank more on the skills that they have. Some bank more on the knowledge that they've been able to develop over the years. Right. So what's question to you, sir, Mr. Femi? Now, if you had to leave men with one powerful thought on navigating job loss, entrepreneurship, freedom, with their skill, their talents, or maybe the business idea they have, what would it be, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. For me, I'm a traditional man, so I will always say, my dad always tells us that there is no time that you dress up. There is no occasion for you to attend. What it means is that he will say, there is no time. If you don't have the cloth today, no problem. If it's tomorrow or next year that you have the new cloth, there will be an occasion for you to show up in. So I'm saying that we should live in that reality that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. We need to take that step now. Job loss is not the end of life, like I've said. It might be God even redirecting our steps. It can spark an unexpected pathway to wealth that we don't know, that we never thought about. So I would say that financial freedom is available to those who learn about it, work for it. So when you learn about it and work for it, you unlearn what is not a good habit, you learn what is good habit, you relearn it. When you continuously do that, there is no way that God will not be on your side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. And also to you, KT. What would you leave our men with out there? That one powerful thought that they need to go with as regards navigating job loss, entrepreneurship, freedom, with their skill, talent, or business ideas that they have, sir.
All right, great. The psalmist said something provocative about Joseph. He said, until his time came, the word of the Lord tried him. If you've lost your job, your time has come. If you've not lost your job, your time has still come. Point to be made. Joseph was comfortable in his father's house, but he lost his job when the brothers sold him into slavery. He was comfortable in Potiphar's house, but he lost the job when the wife framed him.
Got into the prison, yeah.
And then he got into prison. All those things were moving him to where God wanted him to be. Trust God first. Listen, Joseph would not know how to manage the times of prosperity if he had not been in the house of Potiphar, because he was a big boy there. He would not know how to manage times of difficulty if he was not in prison. And mark my words, everybody knew that Joseph was a foreigner. So if he mismanaged their finances that Pharaoh gave him, of course he had enemies looking for him. They would have thrown him back in jail. But he had learned how to manage it when he was in prison. So he came out on top in the good and the bad times. In employment, we look for managers who can manage both the good and the bad times. That is the reality about life is. At the end of the day, once, like Femi said, you put your trust in God, you put the work, grit, hard work doesn't kill anybody. Right. You are resourceful, because there's no useless person. In the story of Joseph, he didn't bring anything from anywhere. Everything he did came from within him. Dreaming was something he was born with, and it was dreaming that took him to the place that God wanted him to be. Whatever you are born with will take you to where you're supposed to be. Last two things, integrity. He didn't compromise on his integrity. There are people who gave us jobs. There was a year we got a huge job. Huge. I mean, really huge, as in by November, we're like, man, we're not working again. Possibly because the owner of the business walked us. I mean, after the story, this guy will be boarding a flight and he's discussing with me how to conclude the proposal. He learns his flight and he's calling me again. When you're working people like that, you walk on your toes, showing up all the trainings we're doing for his staff. They paid well, but he's somebody that had known me before. He knew me as a person of integrity. He knew me when I was in the bank. He knew me. So he knew that, no, this guy will deliver. And last but not the least, Femi has said it. I said it in a different way. Let me say it simply. I said iteration. Femi said test the waters. Test. If you try something, it doesn't work, you come back. When we first started business, we went one way, they didn't. We go another way. At the end of the day, remember the story of Joseph. Everything will work out together for your good.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Katie. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. We really appreciate your presence, and what a conversation we have had today.
Yeah.
From everything we've taken out today, you can see that definitely it is important to rely on God. And as an entrepreneur, you need to understand that it starts with the mind. You need to first think about it and then be ready to work for it to gain the benefit. You can't just say you are dreaming about it and then you are not ready to now test the waters. You need to be ready to test the waters to be able to earn the profits afterwards. Thank you very much once more, our guests. We really appreciate you. Today we've seen that job loss, while painful, doesn't have to define the end of your story. It can redirect you, like Mr. Femi said. It might be that God is even trying to redirect your path and plan things for you. So we've also unpacked on what it means to step away from the comfort of employment into the risk and opportunity of entrepreneurship. Ultimately, we've learned that financial freedom is not just a bank balance. It is absolute security, discipline, and the ability to breathe without the fear of tomorrow. Kinsley, what do you have to say?
Of course, so this wraps up our 3-part series on money matters. It's been exciting since July. We've had a wonderful run on money matters, and today it culminates on the crux of financial freedom. Big thank you once again to
thank you very much, sirs.
Yes, and of course Katie himself. Good to have you in the house today. Thank you so much for the depth of knowledge shared, from shared finances in marriage to how money and marriage decisions work, and now to financial freedom. Each piece over the Money Matters series has been about equipping men everywhere with the wisdom to face real financial struggles, of course, with strength and clarity. Thank you so much, everyone online. Today is a live transmission. Thank you for staying with us on this journey, and not to worry, the conversations continues. In our next series, we're going to be diving into the extra special Health Matters series. You don't want to miss it for anything. We're going to be treating clinical case studies on mental, physical, and spiritual challenges as they affect men specifically. So until then, I am Kingsley Ifoga. Remember that true freedom isn't in just what you earn, but the mindset and how we live. Thank you so much.
And on behalf of the technical crew, entire podcast team, a big shout out to the church leadership led by PRM, Pastor Madi, the RMF and the ESCOs, and as well all others who contributed one way or the other to make this live podcast possible. We say a big thank you to our guest as well. We appreciate you one more time. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. And to our beautiful listeners and viewers, we appreciate you as well. And we hope you've been able to learn as much and gain much experience on today's section. I remain your host, Emmanuel Okola, and do have a triumphant week ahead. Thank you very much.
Bless you.
We behold until we are formed. We cover until we have strength. We cover until we have nations wait. We behold